a minute or so just to have those stragglers come on board for our roadmap webinar. Just before we get started, if I could get a quick audio check, if someone could type into the chat if you can hear and see me okay.
I can hear and see you okay, Will.
Thank you. And if you guys can hear and see Andy okay. Thank you, Nick. All right, and Bob confirms that he can hear both of us. And then just go ahead and get started. I'll share our slides as well. Just make sure that you can see our slide deck as well. And I think we have vamped just enough, Andy, that we can go ahead and get started. Anybody who does join late gets the whole entire recording sent to them anyway. Even if you can't attend or need to leave early, that'll go your way too. So welcome to our July webinar, where we will be going over Nutshell Summer 2025 Roadmap. We'll, of course, go over some of the things we launched in the first half of the year, as well as some of the things to be excited about and what's to come in Q3 of 2025. So like I said, if you don't, or this recording will be sent to you in your email. If you don't see it in your email, check your spam folder. It comes from a company called Demio, our web hosting platform here. If it's not there in a couple of days or sometime next week, you can go to the webinars and guided tours page, where you can find this webinar and all of our past webinars as well. If that's too difficult for you, you can just search Nutshell on YouTube, and we will upload this to YouTube as well. While you're there, give us a subscribe so you can be up to date with all of Nutshell's product releases, webinars, and everything with that. So, of course, I am Will Gordon, Senior Director of Marketing. If you've been on our webinars before, you're probably used to my face and name. And then coming back after a couple missed webinars is our CEO and co-founder of Nutshell, Andy.
Hello.
Welcome back, Andy. I've missed you on these webinars. It's good to be in the same room as you now.
It sure is. Feels like we're in the same place.
Yes, of course. So real quick, what are we going to cover today? Already went over this. Everything we've launched so far in 2025, we'll give you the full list, and then, of course, dial down into a few specific ones that we want to explain a little bit more, and then go over what is to come in our 2025 roadmap, or summer 2025 roadmap, sorry. And then, of course, leaving room for any questions that you guys may have. Feel free to type your questions into the chat throughout the presentation. If the timing's right, I might interrupt Andy and insert one of your questions there so we can get to it live. If not, we'll try to leave some room at the end of the presentation just to provide some answers to your questions. So with that being said, Andy, go ahead and take it away.
Sounds great. Well, good to see everyone here. It is good to be back and to talk about the progress we've made in Nutshell this year and the plans we've got for the upcoming summer here. So like Will said, I'm Andy Fowler, co-founder here at Nutshell. Like the slide says, we started this company back in 2010, and our vision was to build a CRM that's a whole lot easier to use than the competition out there and is much more focused on sort of sales process and sales automation, helping you understand what you need to do next in the process of getting a lead from start to a closed deal, and using great design and a great user interface to make that possible. We're growing the product from here in Southeast Michigan in Ann Arbor. That's where our product team, which has grown quite a bit these last couple of years, is building Nutshell. But we're also a global presence as well. We have team members in Portugal and the Philippines and Cape Town. And of course, Will joining from Harrisburg in central Pennsylvania. This slide sort of brags about some of the other awards that we've won here. And probably the thing we're most proud of is those 5,000 customers that we're helping to grow each day. Businesses that are making buttons that go in elevators, or we have a customer that creates water slides for municipal parks. We're just happy to be able to help businesses grow with our sales and marketing platform. So with that, next slide, Will. And like I said, our product team specifically has grown quite a bit over the last year. So, when we look at what sets Nutshell apart from the competition, we really believe that, having a great product, great design, great interface that gets out of the way and makes your job easier is where we can differentiate the most. And so we've been really investing in our product team. In fact, that's more than doubled over the last year. And today we have 3 parallel teams that are working together to make Nutshell better. This slide here is kind of just a glance at the huge amount of ground that we've covered this year. We're not even going to get to cover probably half of the items here. And in fact, there's an even longer list. If you look at our blog, we kind of recently rolled out a 40 sort of rough edges that we've smoothed out, everything from sorting that was a little bit off in one place, or maybe unable to see an archived pipeline somewhere else. Our team's really obsessed with getting the details right. And that's a lot of what you're seeing here. But we do want to focus on a couple of the big things that we've improved in Nutshell. So to get started here, we're going to talk about suites. So 3 years ago, Nutshell was just a CRM product. And we said, after 10 years of being on the market, our customers have been pulling us in different directions. We first planted the flag of a new product of email marketing. And as we did that, we heard a lot of great feedback from our customers that really appreciated that you can get everything that you need from a growth perspective in one place with Nutshell. So starting with sales, we've grown into marketing, and most recently, we've launched our engagement suite. So we've organized Nutshell into the sales, marketing, and engagement suites, put that together along with an updated navigation this past year, and use that to help you take sort of control over all of those capabilities inside of Nutshell. And we're going to talk about improvements we've made to each one of these 3 areas of the product here. First is SMS marketing. So with Nutshell, we first began our entry into SMS capabilities with just one-to-one. So if you have a prospect, you could open up your lead in Nutshell, you could send them a text, you could receive messages. All of those SMSs are coming from the same phone number for your business. So your entire team of sales reps can be on the same page and seeing the text messages that are being exchanged to your prospects, just like you can see the emails or the activities. We expanded that this past year into SMS marketing. So if you have a list that you're looking to get in touch with, you can use Nutshell's SMS marketing tools to send a larger broadcast, often with a call to action in the form of a link. Nutshell helps you get the word out and does the link tracking and helps you understand which of your prospects are engaged with that capability. Next is our scheduler product. Scheduler is a great tool if you are collecting prospects in the form of maybe a Zoom meeting, a Google Meet, or maybe even an in-person meeting where you want to make the scheduling as seamless as possible for your prospect. So of course, the most common tool out there is Calendly, but what we heard from our customers is that just like our email marketing product, they'd rather be able to put all of those tools together in one place, being able to see when a prospect opens a scheduler link, being able to have that scheduler interaction visible inside the CRM is really important. So scheduler launched last year, and it really grew up this year. So we've added meeting pages. So if you're collecting multiple meeting types, your prospects can book all of those from one place. We've also added support for multiple calendars. If maybe you have a personal calendar and a work calendar, and you need to deconflict those meetings, you can sync all of those calendars to scheduler, make sure that your availability tracks across all of your calendars. And we've added what we call managed meetings, which are sort of like a template for scheduler. So maybe you have the same kind of demo across your entire team. You want to be able to configure that once, give that meeting type to all of your reps, have the same kind of parameters for a scheduler meeting. That's what managed meetings allow you to do. Nutshell Quotes is another addition for this year. So like I mentioned with our email marketing product, a lot of our customers were using different point solutions. They've used tools like PandaDoc or Quote Roller or even QuickBooks to do things like quotes. But again, the simplicity of being able to do all of this in one place, take the information about your prospect, immediately roll it into a quote, see when they open the quote, and give them a tool to accept a quote. That's what Nutshell Quotes allows you to do. We're hearing some great feedback from our early customers using quotes, and we've got some new things in store we'll talk about when we look at roadmap here. We added a marketing email link report. This is for our sort of power users of Nutshell marketing. With this report, you can actually dig into, maybe you sent an email marketing campaign to 10,000 prospects, and that's great. Maybe you get a 60% open rate, that 6,000 people open that. What really matters to a sales rep is who are the 50 people that actually clicked on the link and maybe had a look at your price book or your updated website. The email link report lets you view all the way down to the individuals who clicked on each link in your email campaigns. We've also rolled out a whole bunch of ways that make it easier to get activities into Nutshell. We've kind of bundled a lot of these together onto one slide here. So I'll first step back and say, we launched the product, like I said, to make it a whole lot easier to use a CRM, or we sometimes like to say just the CRM to get out of the way. Kind of think that the best CRM is the one that you don't need to use. You have the meeting and it's automatically been logged for you. You don't have to enter your notes. You don't have to do anything else. Well, the great thing is, since we're using things like Teams and Gmeet and Zoom and having meetings that are transcribable and recordable, we can finally deliver on that promise. So our integration with Zoom and Gmeet allows you to have a meeting with a prospect, to end that meeting, and for it to show up in Nutshell with the transcription, with a summary of the event, to be automatically logged on the timeline, so you don't have to do any of the paperwork that happens after the meeting. Everything about that conversation is recorded in the CRM for you. We've added that for Zoom and for Google Meets, and we've added it for click to call. So if you're making phone calls inside of Nutshell and calling regular phone numbers, you get that same transcription and summarization.
And Andy, I'll just chime in here and say this is a lifesaver for me because I'm someone that takes very detailed notes. When I take notes, it adds an extra 20 minutes. And if I don't take those notes after the meeting, I'm completely lost for the follow-up and what I do next. So I use this internally to help with all the meetings that I have on a day-to-day basis. And it probably saves me more headaches than it does time, but it both saves me pain and time when I'm using this feature.
Yeah, again, the goal is to remove that need to be able to type in your notes by hand. Speaking of being able to bring in conversations that you're having with prospects, we've added the same platform for Meta, or as most of us call it, Facebook. So if you're engaging with your prospects through Facebook Messenger, through Instagram DMs, and now with WhatsApp, you can connect those conversations to the CRM. So maybe you have a prospect who first reaches out to you through an Instagram DM. You can start that conversation. You can hold that conversation inside of Nutshell, and then it's automatically logged as part of a timeline, just like a phone call, just like a Zoom meeting. All of those kinds of ways that you engage with your prospects are showing up into one place, which is kind of why we call this an omni-channel inbox here. So we've added a lot of those Facebook platforms there. We're also making it easier for our Office 365 customers. So if you're using Outlook and you're using Office 365, we've brought the same type of email integration and inbox integration that we have in Google into Outlook. So when you're using Outlook, there's a sort of Nutshell sidecar that sits along with you inside of your inbox that shows you information about the current email that you're looking at. So if the prospect who emailed you is already in the CRM, you'll see their information about the lead, their history. You'll have the ability to add that sender as a contact in Nutshell. And you can use your Nutshell email templates directly from Outlook. So if you're using sort of canned email outreach, you can bring those into Outlook as well. It's kind of a helpful sidecar inside of Outlook here. For our larger customers and those with maybe higher security requirements, we've introduced enterprise login. And so what this allows you to do is if you have a identity provider, maybe you use Google as your sort of main user directory, or maybe you use one of Microsoft's platforms or Okta. As long as it's SAML compliant is the buzzword here, you can use that to manage your Nutshell users and make sure that every user that is in Nutshell aligns with an approved user in your business. So as you onboard and offboard employees, those are automatically synced into Nutshell using our directory sync feature, a great tool for larger teams or teams that have higher turnover. Our email reply starters are pretty cool. So the Nutshell timeline is a well-loved part of the product. When you open up a contact, you see your entire email history with them. And if the last message in the timeline was a message from the prospect to you, we're going to take a look at that message and offer you a couple of different suggestions on starting a reply. So, if they asked you a question, we might tee up a couple of different ways of answering that question. And those show up directly in the Nutshell timeline as sort of suggested email replies. This is one of a handful of AI capabilities that we've been rolling out, and we're seeing a lot of great feedback from. Speaking of which, we also have introduced AI agents. AI agents are sort of another sidebar that sits inside of Nutshell and gives you the ability to interact with different Nutshell pages using some of the great LLM technology that's out there. So the two that I wanted to highlight in this webcast are our lead research agent. So if you open up a lead, and then open up the Nutshell AI agent sidebar, you can open up the lead research agent. And it's going to go out and it's going to search the web, and it's going to search its own knowledge and find information about your prospect. And with a click, it will actually import what it finds in sort of a dossier format as a note on that lead. So it's a great way of pulling in additional information about a lead as you're sort of in that early qualification stage. The other tool inside of our agent platform that's been really popular is our sales pipeline designer. So if you open up the Nutshell sales process tool, where you can define your different stages, you can define your different goals for each stage. This tool brings you a bunch of suggestions and gives you tips on how you might tune that sales process to be most effective. And it even has the ability to sort of implement some of those suggestions for you. Email Preference Center. This is one for our sort of power users on email marketing. But as you know, every message that you send through email marketing comes with an unsubscribe link. Sometimes you want to give your recipients a little bit more control over how they're unsubscribing. So you might have a weekly newsletter and a monthly newsletter, or you might have sort of a product update type of newsletter, and you might have sort of an onboarding newsletter. And what the Email Preference Center allows your recipients to do is to opt in and out of your different types of messages. So you define your different audiences, and your recipients can sort of opt in and opt out of those audiences based on their own interest. It's a great way of being able to hold on to someone who might not want all of the volume of your email campaign, but still interested in a particular type of messaging that you've got. Activity Dialog was a big update this year, and this is one of the most heavily used parts of the product. In fact, I think the number is somewhere around 30,000 activities a day are tracked and logged inside of Nutshell. So we know our customers have high expectations of logging and remembering notes and adding notes to activities. And so we really wanted to get this right. And this dialogue, which has been around for 7 or 8 years, was due for an update. What we've done is we made it easier to do the things that you do maybe dozens or hundreds of times a day, which is jot down your notes from a call, review notes from a prior call, and get some of the other things out of the way things like scheduling and calendaring. So the new activity dialog is really tuned around being able to get information into Nutshell quickly. It automatically saves as you type, and it really streamlines the process of logging your phone calls or your meetings. And to give a little bit of a spoiler here for the roadmap coming up, we're going to be doing the same thing for our mobile apps too. And then finally, the last thing we wanted to call attention to that we shipped in the first half of the year here is a one-click website and domain setup. The number one support request that we get from our customers is getting some help setting up the domain records that are necessary for sending your email marketing. So if the term DMARC or DKIM or SPF record rings a bell, but you don't have maybe the chops to get that added, we've introduced a new one-click tool that lets you take your domain name and add those records to your DNS provider so that you can send email marketing campaigns that have great deliverability and are authorized from your domain. We've also made it easier to see how Nutshell is attached to your website so that you can use tools like our landing pages and analytics and web chat to interact with your customers. We're just making it easier for you to kind of manage how Nutshell fits in with your website and domain name. And I think that is the end of this first section of what we shipped in the first half of the year.
It absolutely is. Andy, do you want me to vamp a little bit for you to grab a glass of water to refresh the voice?
All I've got is a Diet Coke, so it'll have to do.
That works perfectly. So yeah, as you can see, we've launched quite a bit in the first half of the year, and we're trying to keep pace with that going into Q3. I think we're going to be going over some pretty neat stuff as far as what we plan to tackle. Some of the stuff might get pushed to Q4 just as far as what we run into, but I think we're confident that we'll be able to reach about 100% success rate going into Q3 so with our summer roadmap.
Thanks, Will.
You got
I'm
it.
ready to go for the second half here. All right. So looking ahead, just to pause a little bit and talk about how we develop our roadmap and why we do what we do. Like I mentioned at the beginning, the thing that gives me kind of the biggest endorphin rush is hearing from the businesses that we're helping to grow with technology. And the way that we're doing that is by connecting sales, marketing, and customer teams. And sometimes for our smaller businesses, those might be the same person, or those might be 1 or 2 person teams that we're helping to get aligned here. So we're helping to connect all of the different functions, however you're interacting with your prospects, whether it's in marketing while you're developing leads, whether it's in the sales process as you're cultivating them and qualifying them and pitching to them, and then whether it's serving those customers or delivering on your good and service. We want to keep all of those teams on the same page, and we want to automate as much of that as possible. Like I said, the sort of gem of where we started Nutshell from was automating your sales process. What is everything that you need to do from the time a lead shows up to the time that you're closing the deal? How can we make that as repeatable and automatable as possible? And when we launched, that was just in the sales process. As we've added marketing and engagement suite, we're now helping to cover a sort of broader part of that customer journey. Maybe it's before a lead even, you learn anything about that lead and they're just visiting your website, and you're looking to understand the companies that are visiting your website through our tools like Visitor IQ. We're just looking to own as much of that as possible so that information is in Nutshell, ultimately making your life easier. So how are we doing that this summer? Let's take a look at our roadmap. We're going to start with the smalls first here, because sometimes the little quality of life components are the things that get left behind, and we want to make sure that we are always pushing the product forward in the sort of daily quality of life, as well as the big strategic features like AI and automation. So starting with some of the big smalls here, we're making it easier to organize your draft pipeline. So you might have a pipeline today, which is your sales process, and you're getting ready to revamp that or roll out a new product line or change the way that you're approaching your sales process. Well, if you only have one sales pipeline, you kind of can't have 2 at the same time. So we're introducing this concept of a draft pipeline to make it easier for you to kind of tee up your next sales process while you still have leads in the old one. Also, a really common request that we hear is when a lead is closed, you might want to immediately create the next lead. So this might be in cases where you want to create the renewal lead the day that you close the actual sale of a lead. Or maybe you've lost a lead and you want to create the win-back lead to start 6 months from now. So we're going to make it easy for you to automatically create a new lead when you win a lead or when you lose a lead, to kind of nurture along a deal that might have been lost, or to do the right thing on a renewal or retention front. We've added a lot of capability to our products over the last couple of months. We've introduced a product importer, and that powers our Nutshell Quotes product. And we're allowing customers now to organize those by category. So if you've got a large product catalog, a lot of SKUs, you can use our importer to manage those and put them into folders with categories. Also, and I think this one might have come directly from our own marketing team. They sort of slipped this one into the roadmap. But if you use Scheduler and you want to send your Scheduler thank you pages, maybe to somewhere other than just Nutshell's thank you page, you can now do that. So if you receive a booking, maybe you want to give people information on what to expect at a meeting, you can now customize where your thank you pages go when you're using Scheduler.
What can I say, Andy? I like to track all our leads and know where they're coming from.
You'll make a good marketer.
Oh, cool. And speaking of marketing, this is kind of where marketing and sales blend together, and another opportunity for Andy to catch a break. We've had our attribution report in Nutshell basically telling you where your leads come from, what sources, whether that is from organic search, paid search, from a trade show, whether it's sources that you're adding automatically based upon a form coming in, or if you're adding leads from a conference you just came from and adding that source manually there. We've had that report in Nutshell for a couple of years now. We're going to extend that report or create a new report on top of that, which is basically revenue attribution reporting. So essentially taking that, where did these leads come from, but where did my closed won leads come from? And where did the closed won leads that generated the most revenue for my company come from? So you can use this to get a deeper understanding of how each channel is impacting your bottom line. And from my perspective as the marketing leader at Nutshell, I want to know what channels are working best for us so we can redistribute where we're spending our current marketing dollars to get more value into Nutshell's pipeline, so we can bring more happy customers into Nutshell, into the family, using the sales, marketing, and engagement suites. Tossing it back over to you, Andy.
Oh, this one's back to me. All right, cool. We're talking about starter packs here. So creating a sales process, like I said, is a key part of what Nutshell allows you to do. You can figure out how leads are assigned. You can automate tasks. You can define goals. You can define the kinds of information you're collecting at each stage. All of the things that go into a sales process are really important. We introduced an AI agent to help you design that, but now we're also rolling out starter packs. So for different types of businesses, different types of sales flows, maybe for an inbound versus an outbound flow, we've taken some of the best practices, put them together as built-in starter packs in Nutshell that are basically a canned sales process with the custom fields, the goals, the automated tasks that are ready to go. It's not going to be cookie cutter for your business, but it's a starting point for you to sort of see how you might make Nutshell work for your process that you can take and tune from there. We already mentioned Google Gmeet and Zoom as AI summarizations, as well as click-to-call. Our goal is to get Microsoft Teams added. In fact, we've discovered that it's a little bit harder to integrate with this platform, and so it's why it's the last one on our list. But we want to make sure we have sort of full platform coverage, so no matter what platform our customers are using for their virtual meetings, they can log them in Nutshell. This one's going to be the last one that we get to the table. And we'd love feedback from you all of how you're using Teams, so we can help to prioritize and make sure we get this one right. So if you're a Teams user, speak up in the chat and let us know here. And speaking of other sort of channels where we're looking to integrate, I mentioned click-to-call. So if you're using Nutshell's native phone dialer to click a phone number, make a call to a prospect, those phone calls are recorded, summarized, automatically logged. You don't have to do anything other than talk on the phone. We're looking to bring that same capability to additional phone integration partners. So RingCentral is at the top of that list. We have a lot of customers who use RingCentral, but we want to be able to connect to 4 or 5 other platforms over the summer here. Maybe it's Dialpad, maybe it's 8x8. We want to make sure we're connecting to the places that our customers are using for their phone calls, so that when you complete a call, it gets the same sort of AI summarization that you get for Nutshell's native click-to-call here.
Andy, before we move on, I got a timely question. Bob's asking if we have any plans of an outbound AI calling agent.
Nothing in the summer, but I think that given the sort of attention that we're seeing on how important phone still is to sales teams, and the pace that technology is allowing customers to do this, I think it's something that we'll be looking at closer. Step one is making sure that we can automate the logging of the human calls that we've got and making sure that they're summarized. But I think that's something we'll be looking into. All right, activity reporting. I mentioned our activity dialog got a refresh probably only 3 or 4 weeks ago. We're also updating our activity reporting, making it easier for you to understand the types of activities that your team is having, how long your team is engaged in each of those activities, whether your team is logging activities or leaving them unlogged, whether your team is leaving notes with activities, just understanding how activities are being tracked in Nutshell. We're leveling up here. So there's a number of filters and bits of information that aren't currently possible in our activity report, and that's going to get a level up, as well as a nice new table view here. Speaking of fresh coat of paint, this might be the thing that I'm most excited about. Our design team has been working on this for a month or 2 already, and that is an update to what really is the heart of Nutshell, the lead page. This is where you are tracking an entire process from maybe just hearing about a lead, from sort of a visit to your website, to qualifying them, researching the lead, gathering information as custom fields, pitching, engaging in activities, and then hopefully closing the deal with a quote and an invoice. That lead page has a lot of work to do, and it's been easy for it to sort of grow and get cluttered over time. And maybe most importantly, our customers are looking for more customization here. So if there's custom fields that you use, or fields that you collect in a particular sales process, or parts of a Nutshell that aren't important to you that you want to get out of the way so that there's, you can focus on the things that do matter. We've heard loud and clear that more customization on the lead page is overdue, and that's what we're working on. So the lead page is going to be getting a big coat of paint here, as well as a whole bunch of new capabilities. And we're highlighting the bottom one here. We're internally calling this sort of our what's next. So we kind of think of a sales process being really just telling you about what do you need to do next for this lead. And if you're a sales manager, you've probably had a pipeline review meeting with your team where you just ask them, hey, what's going on with this lead? What are you going to do next? That's exactly what we're working to make sure Nutshell helps you to understand. It might be able to surface it for you, and where it can't, make sure that you are able to track that and get that in front of your team. So we want to be able to surface that what's next via AI when possible, and to make sure that you can stay in the driver's seat there. So the new lead page is going to be exciting here. This is also going to be one where we have an early access program here. So if you're interested in being a part of this new lead page, shoot us an email at beta@nutshell.com. We'd love to have you be a part of that. Task report, like the activity report, is something that we want to give a better understanding of. So in your sales process, you might have some automated tasks that say, hey, make a first phone call, make a second phone call, schedule an in-person visit. And what's a little bit difficult to understand right now is how quickly your team is able to respond to those tasks. How long does it take them on average? The Nutshell funnel report helps you understand the speed of a lead through your funnel, but that only happens at the stage basis. So you can see, okay, Jared gets a lead from the qualifying stage in an average of 14 hours. But what the task report will allow you to do is really double click into the exact tasks and how quickly your team is able to respond to those tasks. I think that's going to be a really insightful view. I already kind of gave this one away, but just like we're improving the way that you log activities on the web, our mobile app is heavily used for, you're out in the field, you just has a visit with someone and you want to be able to jot down the notes from that activity. You don't need a whole scheduler. You don't need to be able to figure out every detail about the activity. You need to get your notes into Nutshell so that you can remember them and have them on the timeline. We're making activity logging on the mobile app a whole lot easier to do. All right, here's where we're getting into some other fun stuff. So half of the crowd might not have even heard of MCP, and the other half is excited to hear this. An MCP server is what allows Nutshell to be able to integrate into some of the exciting new LLM tools that are out there, like ChatGPT or Anthropic or Grok. And really what MCP is it's a way of letting Nutshell integrate with ChatGPT or Claude or anything like that. And so you might be able to go to ChatGPT and say, hey, tell me about the leads that we brought in last week. Which one is most interesting based on my lead history? And to be able to use ChatGPT to connect to your CRM data, pull information out of it. We're pretty excited to see where that goes and how our customers put this to work. We're all kind of at the, watching this new technology unfold in front of us. We want Nutshell to be a part of that and to be able to, connect its data to those powerful tools.
Andy, we have a question, again, timely, I can stop you here. Can you integrate with a trained GPT account?
That's a good question. It will really depend on whether it supports an MCP server. So MCP is short for Model Context Protocol. It's sort of the emerging standard for integrating with language models. It's been adopted by Google. It's been adopted by Microsoft. It's been adopted by OpenAI. So all of the major AI providers have said MCP is the way of the future here. It's the way that you can connect your business tools to our AI tools. And so we expect a lot of tools to be able to do that. And so Nutshell's building MCP. It'll be incumbent on those providers to do that. But I think it's likely we'd be able to say yes there.
Thanks, Andy.
All right, we talked earlier about quotes. A logical continuation after you send a quote to a prospect, they say yes, they accept it. Next thing you're going to do is to create an invoice. And so our team has been working to take that original quotes product and to layer in invoice capabilities here. So now you can not only create a quote that can be accepted, but you can create an invoice. You can track payment for that invoice. And just like quotes, you can also see was this opened by my prospect? And you can track whether payment was received, and actually understand the sort of status of those invoices as they move through the deliverables process. And I think I saw a question in the chat earlier about it. If it's, probably kind of obvious from the roadmap that we're charting here, but we started with quotes. We just added invoices. And yes, we see document signing and contract management and basically any sort of sales document that might be a part of your sales process really is going to fit into the future of what we're developing. So invoices are on the way here. In fact, I was just out of the office yesterday. I'm pretty sure that invoices are live now in the product as of yesterday. And if they're not, they will be tomorrow. So this is sort of the next step in our sort of journey on sales documents, and we'll be adding more to it from there.
And I think you just answered this question, but Joe asked if this is going to basically be our e-sign, and the answer will be eventually yes.
Exactly. Yep. Internally, the team's already the engineering team's already kind of referring to these as sales documents, and that's where it might be a proposal, it might be a contract, anything like that might be signable.
Correct, not third party, Joe.
All right, we talked a little bit about powering up Scheduler earlier. Scheduler is our tool that allows you to collect bookings from your website. What we're also going to be doing is connecting Scheduler to your web chat. So Nutshell's chat lets you put a little widget on your web page, have a conversation with your visitors, and hopefully generate leads from those visitors. There's a lot of reasons that you might want to put something on your website. As a sales and revenue company, we think sort of the most important goal of your website is to generate leads and ultimately business for your company. And that's what sort of chat is in service of. And if your sales process involves scheduling bookings, you'll be able to do that. You'll be able to be conversing with a prospect, present a scheduler calendar. They can pick a time that works for them and for you. And all of that will be able to fit into one tidy little flow here.
And Andy, one thing I should mention that if you've been on some of our past webinars, you might already know, but our web chat feature is currently available with any Nutshell sales plan. So it's unlimited chats per month for a lot of the features, not all of the features with chat, but if you have one-to-one human interactions with your web chat, currently entirely free and included with your plan. And we just made it easier to get it installed on your website too, with what Andy mentioned about our one-click website setup.
That's right. Yep. Either the one-click setup, our WordPress plugin, what we observed, sorry, jumping off script a little bit here, what we observed when we launched chat on our website was it turned out to be a better lead gen platform than just a contact form, right? So you might have a form on your site for people to get in touch with you, to seek a proposal, to ask about work. Those are great. You should have one on your site. But we found that people are much more likely to ask a question to sort of start the process of becoming a lead with a chat widget than they might be with a form widget. And if you think about it, chat is ultimately sort of a lead gen tool or a form tool in disguise here. It's just that you've got someone on your team staffing those answers and responding to your website visitors, which is my way of segueing to our next item here, which is something we're really excited about, is an AI chatbot. So if you've got chat on your website today, you've got to have a team member there answering questions to your visitors about what your company does, what kind of projects can you take on, what kind of goods do you sell. And what we're developing and have already been testing out internally is the ability to deploy the chat onto your website and to train it based on your existing website, your existing sales collateral, anything about your business that sort of says how you sell and how your company's goods and services are available to your customers. You will be able to train the Nutshell chatbot on and make available so that you can collect information and answer questions for your website visitors and have those questions, those threads automatically be added to Nutshell as leads as part of what we think is really a great sales process here. So this AI chatbot is actually already live on our own website. So if you visit our homepage, nutshell.com, and take a look at the chatbot down there, you'll see that this is a Nutshell chat widget, but it's not powered by our team. We've got our chatbot sitting behind the keyboard answering questions, and that's what we're developing for our customers. So the vision for this is you'll tell Nutshell your website, we're going to crawl your website, understand what it is that you sell, how to answer questions from your prospects, and then let you deploy that chatbot on your site and collecting leads. It's a great tool that we're seeing for our own sales process, and we want to be able to put it to work for our customers here. And in fact, Will, I'm going to try a live demo here. I'm feeling good about it.
All right.
So I'm going to screen share over here to a little web page I visit every now and then. That's the nutshell.com pricing page here. And what you'll see at the bottom right is the Nutshell chat widget. All right, so this is powered by Nutshell. It's asking if I have any questions, and I'm going to say, what makes Nutshell better than Salesforce? I don't know if our chatbot can answer this clearly and succinctly, but let's see what it has to say here. Well, first it's going to ask me who I am. The reason we do this is we see that chat is a great way to start a conversation, but ultimately you're capturing a lead here, you're generating a lead, and you want to be able to contact these visitors as part of your sales process. All right, my name and my email address. Here we go. So now I've asked that question, I provided my identity here, and the Nutshell chatbot's going to tell me what makes Nutshell better than Salesforce. It's thinking here.
I think
Hey, look at that.
Isn't that the answer?
What's that?
The marketing team, isn't that what makes us better?
Well, that's part of it. That's part of the right answer. Well, let's see what Nutbot had to say here. Yeah, we think Nutshell is a more user-friendly and affordable CRM tailored for small and mid-sized businesses. I'm not going to read the whole response here, but this was generated by the Nutshell chatbot. We're making this technology available to our customers, and this answer wasn't sort of canned or sort of sandbagged in here. This was sort of written by a language model trained on the Nutshell knowledge base, trained on every page that we host on nutshell.com. And it was even smart enough to say, hey, this is the answer to your question. You want to learn more? Chat with our team. And the goal here, of course, is that this chatbot then collects a lead and schedules a demo with someone on Nutshell's sales team here. So that's a little preview of how the Nutshell AI chatbot is being developed, and welcome anyone here to take a look at our site and try to poke some holes and be a beta tester here. And we're excited to make this available to our customers this summer.
And of course, to the availability to train it to know when to bring in a real human being or have those buttons like you just saw, that helped making sure that if the AI chatbot really cannot solve the problem, it can get you in contact with your sales team, your support team, or whoever is behind that chat on a day-to-day basis.
That's exactly right. We see this as a sales chatbot, right? There's other companies out there that have support chatbots and might use a tool like this to answer deep technical questions on your product line or to answer sort of customer service problems. That's not what we're looking to develop here. It may grow into that, but we see this chat widget as being a great way to take the questions that are being asked by the visitors to your website. When your team isn't available to answer those questions, which let's face it, is most of the day, you're not sitting there waiting to answer chats that are coming into your website, to offer answers to your visitors and to keep you in the driver's seat so that you can tune how those answers are sculpted and how you want to sort of steer and tilt that conversation ultimately toward a lead, which might be generated through scheduler or through a conversational form. Anyway, sort of capturing that visitor's identity and turning it into a lead for your sales process. That's what Nutshell's sales chatbot's going to do. And I think that is the summer roadmap here at Nutshell.
So yeah, we're not done yet. We'll just wrap things up here, and then we'll go through. If you have any additional questions that we haven't answered yet, feel free to type them in again. I was going to scroll up and see if I could find any in there. But as I talk through this page here, this is your call to action to ask all your questions. Keep them short if possible. We can't answer everything. But if you want to stay up to date with all of our feature releases, keep an eye on our product and enhancements page. If you go to our website under resources, you'll see a product updates button. That page should be updated basically within 2 to 3 days of a new product release. You can also sign up for our shipping news newsletter. That link will take you directly to the form to make sure you are subscribed to that newsletter. If you need help getting started on any of these features that we mentioned, both that have been launched already, things that have been launched that we didn't talk about today, or things that we are launching in the future, we do try to keep an up-to-date knowledge-based support center with all of our knowledge-based articles out there, or you can reach out to our support team. We do use some AI chat too as well, but just like we mentioned, if you really need help from a human, we got a human behind our chats as well that can help you out with more information. And we mentioned it earlier specifically about the lead pages. But if you see anything on here that you might want to see if you can get on a beta or an early release program, not to say that we're guaranteeing that we're going to have an early release or a beta release for everything. But if you just want to see if you can, please feel free to email us at beta@nutshell.com, and we'll keep you in mind and put you on our future shortlist to reach out to you directly to enter you into any new betas or any new early releases there. And with that, we'll open up for some Q&A. Hopefully, Andy, you've been minding the chat and finding out some good questions that you can answer.
Yeah, I've got a couple, although I guess the couple that I first saw here, unfortunately, I don't have great yeses to. We got a question about the iOS Gmail app and templates. Unfortunately, that's a limitation from Google at the moment. They haven't made it possible for us to integrate into the mobile Gmail apps to provide things like templates or click tracking or sync controls like we can with the Gmail web app. But if they open up that capability, we'll be chasing that one down. Also saw a question about whether invoices integrate with QuickBooks Online. And again, unfortunately there, the answer is no at the moment. So when an invoice is paid, that is updated in Nutshell, and your team will be able to see those paid invoices. But we don't currently push those to QuickBooks at the moment. We'd love to hear your feedback on how your invoicing process in Nutshell aligns with your finance team's invoicing process. That's something that didn't make the initial cut here. For a lot of the customers that we've talked with, there's kind of separate finance versus sales teams here, and we haven't really been able to figure out how to get that right with a smooth integration. So that's not currently done, but we'd love to hear your feedback on that.
And then one stab I can take to the question that was just asked for email signatures, formatting and edited improvements. I don't know if that's been discussed on our roadmap or consideration at all, but one thing we did touch on earlier in the presentation as far as what was launched in the first half of the year was our Outlook extension. This enables you to use your email templates that you have in Nutshell directly inside of Outlook. It does require you to be on our Nutshell business plan, I believe our sales business plan, to use that feature. But you can basically send everything from Outlook using your templates. And of course, all that information is going to sync back in with Nutshell if your email sync there as well.
Yeah, we also got some feedback on other calling platforms like OpenPhone and Grasshopper. We'll be taking those into consideration as we develop our different calling integrations here. There are also a couple of questions about a tool that we've had probably for 6 or 7 years now that I'll just give a quick plug for, and that is the Nutshell Funnel Report. Funnel Report's available in Pro and above, so you do need to be a Pro customer, but what the funnel report allows you to do is sort of gives you a graphical view of your sales process by stage. So maybe you have a qualifying, a pitching, and a closing stage. With that funnel report, you can sort of see how leads progress through it from a velocity perspective. So you can see how much time it takes for a lead to move from one stage to another. And you can also understand the leaky bits of your sales process. So if leads are being lost in the qualifying stage, how many of those versus how leads that are being lost in the pitching stage. And that entire funnel report is clickable. So if you want to see the leads that were lost in the qualifying stage last quarter, you can do that. So it's a helpful way to sort of report and carve up your pipeline by stage, and that's the Nutshell Funnel Report.
And Andy, I think Christian just lobbed us up a softball here that we have answers to. We already have some of this and some of it's coming. But the question was, any thoughts on ChatGPT style front end to ask summaries and next steps similar to the ChatGPT integration you have, but native to Nutshell?
Yeah, I think the softball part of that is that's where our AI agents are beginning to shine here. So if you open up AI agents, which if you're inside of Nutshell, look at the top right corner, there's a little sparkle icon that opens up the AI agent sidebar, and that's useful for I covered a couple of cases earlier, like researching a lead or designing a sales process. But we also have tools for writing a great email, and so all of those agents, which we'll continue to add to, can both interact with your Nutshell data and work as sort of a ChatGPT conversational texting style for both looking at your Nutshell data specifically and just as a helpful sales tool overall.
And then I would say,
Go ahead.
Sorry, Andy, I was going to say less of a conversation, but the other two items that you mentioned was summaries. We did talk about our Google Meets, click to call, soon to be more phone numbers, and hopefully Microsoft Teams in the future that you can set to have those summaries reported automatically and added to those activities. And the other thing, for any people, any lead, or any company timeline, you can actually summarize the whole entire timeline down into one precise note. So if you've been working with a customer for a very long time, or you have a new sales rep that comes in and takes over a new account and you need to catch them up to speed fast, and a click of a button and then waiting, I think, from anywhere from 10 seconds to maybe a minute, depending on how long that timeline is, you can summarize all that data, like I said, into one succinct note.
Yep. Yeah, that's exactly right. So we see summarization both great for a lead overall, as well as an individual activity.
Awesome. Well, I think that's all we got. I do have one more thing or two more things to talk about. One thing I will say, if you'd like a Nutshell shirt like this, if you want this, you can, I'm going to tell you the process how to get one and get some swag. If you go to g2.com, leave us a 5-star review, take a picture of that 5-star review and send it to me, wgordon@nutshell.com, along with your address. So just the screenshot of the review and your address. I will mail you a Nutshell shirt. Just tell me your size as well. And we do have 3 colors. We have navy, tan, and a more of like a seafoam green. I'd be happy to send you some swag. So feel free to go to G2. Has to be a 5-star review. That's the one thing I will say, to get some t-shirt level swag. And then email that to wgordon@nutshell.com. And then the last thing to mention here as well, we do host a monthly support-led webcast. It's the 4th Wednesday of every month, so you just missed it. It was earlier today at noon. Our next one's going to be August 27th. At 12 p.m. Eastern. We're playing around a little bit with the format, but essentially we want this to be your opportunity to be shown how to do things inside a Nutshell. So coming with questions on how can I do this? Is it easy to set up this? We have team members from our customer success team that will jump into Nutshell and show you how to do those certain things that you have questions on. So feel free to sign up with that. It is a series event. So once you're signed up to one, you'll be getting emails and reminders every single month to join it. You don't have to join every month. As long as you're signed up, you'll get that recording, but you won't be able to ask those questions unless you do join that recording as well. So with that being said, thank you so much for joining and hearing about what we had released in the first half of the year and what we have coming over the next 3+ months as well. Andy, thank you for joining. Thanks for all your great questions and feedback. And for everyone out there, happy nutshelling.
Happy nutshelling.